subscribe, hit that notification button. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. You're on mute, David. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, and I'm joined today by
David Piatek with VA Housing Education and Director of Government Lending at Waterman Bank. Dwayne, I am happy that we're doing this because I know you're in Tampa. A huge hurricane just came through. If this isn't dedication, I don't know what is, okay? You must have just told that storm to leave because you're still standing.
Yeah. And you know what? I did one, I think it was a couple of years ago. It was during COVID, and the storm wasn't as big. And I think we were just getting hit with the outer bands. But I did one during a hurricane before, and it was, I kept looking out the window and I told people, I was like, hey, if I lose power, I'm not coming back. That's going to be it. Yeah. So we were talking about it earlier, but it just had minor damage, had one solar panel get ripped and, damaged another one. And then a lot of debris, but some parts of Tampa, older neighborhoods, got flooded. And so they needed a lot of resources. So we didn't lose power. No issues with water pressure. We had like a little surge last night, but man, I'm just thankful. But there's a lot of people in Tampa in some of those low income areas that got hit really hard with a lot of water. And the sheriff was on, I think it was the sheriff or the mayor, the county sheriff, and they were saying how, what little belongings those people had, they lost because you could see the water level. You could barely see the roof of the cars, and so I'm definitely, my heart goes out to them and praying for them as well.
Yeah, that is definitely unfortunate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in the chat right now the VA for all the veterans that are out there that are impacted by this. And VA's newsletter yesterday, because not everyone is signed up for it, or it may go to like spam or other folders where you don't get it on a regular. They did put out like a whole thing for disaster assistance relief for veterans. So please make sure you check that out and see what is really available to you. Because I know we've been talking about this a lot lately, obviously with Helene and Milton now, because a lot of people didn't have the right insurance, lost their homes, right? So it's kind of like, this is the same thing. If you're not educated, you may not be able to get the benefits that you deserve with your disability, or be able to connect with the right people to help you with the housing piece. And it oftentimes comes when it's needed the most. So definitely check out that link in the description.
Yeah. And for anybody, whether it's a tornado or whatever, I was just talking to one of my old neighbors, and he was saying about his roof. He made a claim, and here in Florida is real tricky, and I learned really quick. But he had a policy where it was like a depreciation policy on the roof. So every year that roof would depreciate. Yep. So if he filed a claim, and I was like, man, I never heard of that. And he was like, yeah. So I was telling him about mine, and I had a $10,000 deductible, and we had for hurricane, not perishable, but hurricane.
Gotcha.
And they named a hurricane, and it was like all the way down in Grenada, Barbados. And we had like some rain. I had some, some rain, it was leaking in the house. We hadn't been here like a couple of years. And I filed a claim. And they was like, oh, it falls under your hurricane policy. I'm like, but there was no hurricane. It was just, a storm.
Right.
Nope. If you file a claim in Florida, 72 hours within a named hurricane, it goes under your policy, a hurricane policy, and your deductible is 10 grand. So I go to my broker. I'm like, dude, he was like, well, you said you wanted me to save you some money. I'm like, so if I went with $1,000 deductible, how much more I would have paid? He was like, oh, $60. But before he did that, he had his calculator. He was like, oh, da, 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 da. And I was like,
$60.
Dude, yeah, I want to come across that table, that desk, and give you some act right, because I was pissed. And so I was like, well, I want to update my policy. Oh, you can't do it until it's time to renew. And luckily enough, I had a conversation on Wednesday, and my policy was going to renew that next Thursday. And it was in April, right before hurricane season. So I got that, fixed real quick. But yeah, Florida, when it comes to these homeowners insurances, a lot of the big companies don't want to insure it because of what happened. But surprisingly, a lot of people don't even have renter's insurance if they're renting.
Right. Yeah,
You
and
know?
that's the thing, like with some of these like special floods that happen in North Carolina, insurance just didn't cover it because it was like a flash flood, and most people didn't even have flood insurance because it might be too expensive, or they deem these areas not to be flood zone.
Right.
But then something like this happens. But I was watching the news, and some people were like, "Well, we were debating having the flood insurance, but it was like $500 a month." I mean, it's a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, everyone's financial situation is a little bit different, but that's why it's just so important to uh, double check your insurance coverage that you get. You understand what it is, and when you call the insurance company, because I did this with my own company, I made him walk me through exactly what everything meant so I could understand, like, do I actually have enough coverage
Yeah.
for the house? And guess what? Insurance, for what I don't know if you noticed this, Wayne, but I know that like I had to renew my insurance policy here like yesterday. I was not happy because the insurance went up a good amount. And I'm like, but nothing has even happened. And I haven't claimed it
Yeah.
for like 25 years. Like what? Like what's happening? So make sure you stay on top of that because that policy too changes what your mortgage payment is if you have a
Yeah.
mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And then you might have to put money into an additional escrow account, so you might need some additional money cash on hand during that. So,
Yeah.
we know there's a lot to home ownership. Then that's just one part of it. Is just having the right insurance coverage and also the important
Yeah.
piece of having the VA disability.
Hey, I got a question for you before we
Yeah.
get into the Q&A. What about veterans that have like a VA loan, right?
Yeah.
With any bank, and they go through, I don't want to say a catastrophic loss, but they have major damage, whether it be from a tornado, flooding, hurricane. Is there any assistance like through SBA or anything, if you have that VA loan, or it's just you fall in line with everybody else and have to go through your insurance?
So that's a good. That's a good question, right? And I've been and I've talked with the VA about this as well. So they have a guideline for what to do. Okay, because if the home is completely lost and you don't have insurance, in a lot of people's minds, why would I be paying for insurance on? Why would I be paying a mortgage if I don't even have a house? Right. Well,
Right.
one, you lose your benefits. So they do say to reach out to FEMA first to see if there's any assistance there. Second thing you got to do is you got to reach out to your mortgage company and let them know what the situation is. I know the VA has put out some emergency like messaging to lenders not to charge late fees if people are late on things. But again, that's going to be up to the individual lending institution. But the other part to this, Dwayne, is that a lot of people were impacted with work. I know this for sure in North Carolina because my dad's up there.
Mhm.
And you have a lot of people that are just literally leaving because their jobs have been wiped away and they don't have anything, right? So now it becomes kind of an issue of like, well, how do you make the payments back? And what if the property is gone? And you let the house to go into foreclosure. Just remember, if you do something like that, you do lose a portion of your VA benefits that you did use it.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you that the VA is definitely the most responsive to these things. So definitely reaching out to them. And like I said, I did drop a link in the description for all the resources the VA just pushed out
You put it
for
in the
disaster.
you put it in the private chat,
Oh, I
Dave, I
did?
believe, yeah. Is it
No,
news.va.gov? If
yeah,
so, it's in the private.
132.9. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
is
you
it?
put it in the private chat, yeah.
I posted everywhere then.
Okay. Okay, there you go, I see it now, yep,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. I posted out there. Yeah. So definitely check that out because then you guys can at least go to that. Because I know that obviously with this has an impact for everybody. At least with your if you get VA disability, at least you getting the checks in the mail. But if you have a house, I know a lot of people are looking, and this just kind of just puts a halt to things
Yeah, yeah,
for
most
sure.
definitely. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna get into, the Q&A. Before I get into Q&A right quick, I did put a link if you're interested in the KMD 89 Veteran Monthly Membership. There's a link there for that. Also, If you need a medical or mental health DBQ, put two resources: Access Medical Solutions and Tampa Counseling and Wellness with their contact information. So here we go. First question. Just got 100% VA rating. Congrats. Congrats. Thank you for
What's
your
going
videos and
on,
your book.
Bernard? I
Yeah,
just
I
talked
read
to
it
him the
cover
other
to
day.
okay, okay. Read it cover to cover at least 3 times. Again, thank you. So again, that book is definitely powerful. A lot of people, like Bernard, have said, hey, they made that small investment and they got their 100%. Bernard, if you're looking for a house, you know who you need to call.
No,
Refinance,
I'm,
you
I'm
know.
working with Bernard.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, cool, okay, all right. Yeah, well, good luck, Bernard. Congrats again. Armageddon, greetings to both of you. Stay safe out there, Dwayne. Will do. Thank you. If a condition was denied on direct, can the condition be resubmitted as a secondary to an yes? Yes, but you still need to do a supplemental, regardless. You still have to, whenever you're denied, you still have to do an 0995, even though you may be claiming it a different way under the 5 ways of service connection.
Yeah, I know you just did like a 3.5 hour long
Yeah.
session. I was like, and I watched it, and I'm like, man, these are savages
And
doing this.
and then Clay was like, I was like, yeah, I forgot to plug David, at the beginning. I said, we were talking offline. I was like, I think we did. No, I said in the thing. I said, David and I went 12 hours. He's like, man, you guys can have it. I'm like, wait a minute, we just
Yeah,
went 3.5, but I enjoyed that. That was good.
yeah.
James, thanks, James. Chris was I saw Chris on
Hey,
there. Good
what's up,
afternoon,
Chris?
gents from San Antonio. Thanks for doing this and all the valuable info. So it's crazy. I did a live the day before the hurricane. Now I'm doing a live after the hurricane.
Just
Yeah.
letting everyone know you're alive, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Frat. Go my Frat. Appreciate what you all doing. Just went from 80. Man, make sure, Mr. Banks, that is P&T. Look at that rating decision. And when they grant the 100%, there should be chapter 35. That is
It,
important.
yeah, Dwayne,
Now,
that's a good point because I ask a lot of people that call in and they're working on their VA home loan, and I'm like, are you 100% PNT? They're like, what's PNT? And
yeah,
I'm like, well, let's pull up your benefits letter. And they're like, how do I get that? I'm like, all right, but the best one to do it by far is on the mobile app. Because that way it is I feel like it's the easiest way to get it, because you
yeah,
can go right to it. Because I mean, when you go to va.gov on a computer, I still don't even know where to find that letter, but I could do it on the mobile app in a second.
yeah. It's they got it buried because I was like, wait a minute, I needed a letter
Yeah.
for something. I think I was refinancing or something, not refinancing, getting a HELOC or whatever. And I was like, man, if I had online, I'm like, if I'm having a challenge to get it, what
Yeah.
about some of the vets out there that are not, tech savvy? But I never used the app. I have the app on my phone, but I never used it. So yeah, that's a good idea. And you could what is that in the Google App Store? Is this
It's just VA.
VA?
Just type in va.gov or va.gov and it'll pull it up. And another
Okay.
thing I've noticed too, it's like when you're waiting for because I've also had this happen, ironically, doing with one of your clients. And they're like, oh, they've moved my rating into, I forgot what it is, like, but it's basically like the last phase, right? And then they're like, well,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting around for it. And I'm like, I check my portal and I don't have anything in there. I'm like, get the mobile app. So while on the phone with them, they found out they were 100% P&T because in the mobile app, the benefits letter automatically populates before you get the letter.
Mhm.
So you can pull it. So that's why I'm always like, get the, I'm
The
not an
app.
expert in it. I feel like I'm an expert, a quasi expert now, just working with you on this stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but that mobile app is kind of the key to doing
It's
it.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell, people, they'll say, oh man, the VA sucks at it. You know, like you said, we've been doing this for over a year and you picked up some things and learned over months. But I tell veterans, you still got to invest that time to understand this,
Oh, for
understand it.
sure.
Like little things like nuggets like you just gave, like the app. Hey, get the app, boom, and you can see it a lot faster, opposed to going online. So yeah, a lot of good information. Let's see. Hey, is the compensation stage 5 after you resubmit a claim for a disability claim? The longest stage I've been sitting. Okay, I did a video on this of the stages, 8 steps, right? Do not get bogged down in that because VA employees can't see which stage you're in. They just look at your claim and they just work it, and they may see something. You could be in RFD status, ready for decision, and ready to get it. Like, nope, it ain't ready. We need to go do more development. And you go from step 8 to step 5, and there's no time frame. A lot of people get wrapped up into that. Don't do it. You will drive yourself crazy. Okay. Here's the link for the membership. Dave, did you ever start a membership? Or are you going to start the membership? I know you had talked about it.
You know what? We don't have a membership. But we're gonna be definitely doing some new videos around real estate buying to kind of help the veteran community, especially with all the new laws that have kind of come in place affecting veterans' home ownership.
What about I know you had mentioned something about like not credit counseling, but giving vets information about understanding, being disciplined about, understand the credit score and how to increase it and stuff like that.
Yes. So right now I've just wrapped up the whole series for that, which is basically, what we decided to do is because a lot of times the videos that we were doing were, hey, I am buying a house today. What do I need to do? But what I
Mm,
realized is that, even like me and my own home journey, just like you have things that lead up to that home buying journey that you need to understand, right? Like the credit, the budgeting.
mhm,
What is home ownership? What does home ownership look like once you own the house? And then what that process looks like. Then we have a set of hey, everyone that's in the process of buying a property, hey, how to make sure that you're getting the best deal possible. After that, we're doing post purchase stuff as well, is more going to be more around home maintenance, understanding your taxes, how disability affects that, because that's all relevant. Because I mean, I think we talked about it not too long ago. I mean, home ownership is an expensive piece, right? Because you still have to buy tools if you don't have them. You need lawnmowers, you need
yeah.
pressure washers, you need
Uh-huh.
drills, you need all types of tools that I myself did not even realize I needed, even like generators, right? Like by
Yeah.
you, right? You still need to have a grill, maybe a propane tank, maybe a 40-gallon, just so you have, if there's an emergency, you have something. But all of that stuff adds up really quick. And for a lot of veterans too, Dwayne, they're like, I'm dreaming, I want, 10-acre property. Once you get it, like, listen, once you get over a certain amount, the cost of home ownership, like sustainment goes up because you might have to buy a tractor. You need to do a sit down,
Yep.
thing. If you have a well or septic, those are all things you have to
Consider.
consider, right? There's pros and cons to all of it. I know also in disaster areas right now, like up in the Carolinas, they have no sewer and no water.
Wow.
So it's, yeah, but again, like everyone's situation is a little bit different. You got to be
Yeah.
right. Right. We're not talking about being preppers, although I think everyone should have a degree of
A
readiness, right?
plan. Yeah.
A
Yeah. Most
plan,
definitely.
right? Um, Even a loose, I mean, you shouldn't have a loose plan in this case. Yeah, you should definitely have a plan. But I think that's what we're trying to get people to, that home ownership piece, that may think that, it's too far out of reach to get. And we do hear a lot of that, Dwayne, is that where people are like, it's just not attainable. And it is, with discipline, money management. And that was something that we were also going to incorporate, is to work with some nonprofits to come in and help with getting veterans, or at least being able to point them in the right direction to get better jobs as well, to make more
Yeah.
money, right? It's all about that, right? It's not easy to say, why don't you just go make more money? That's hard, right? You work on
Yeah.
VA disability because you're working towards that, and that helps you monetarily. But I think also there should be a big focus on veteran community around, how do we lift ourselves up to make more money, and be able to not spend more money? Because I feel like, when every time you watch the government, or like all those job reports they put out, right? And they're like, consumer spending is up, consumer spending is up. You think to yourself, well, why is that a good thing? Wouldn't we all want to save money as much as possible? But that's not what they want you to do, right? They want you to spend as much as you can. And like, that's one of the things that, um, I only know this because I'm going to be doing a video on the history of the VA loan, which also I understand, Dwayne, why there's so much confusion amongst all generations of veterans because the loan has drastically changed to where it
Change,
is
yeah.
today. But originally, the VA loan was, for veteran, it was basically like a bonus for World War II veterans, right? That was their bonus, was the VA home loan. And at that time, you can also actually take out business loans with the VA. It was actually a pretty cool program. Now, obviously, they stopped that and they do it now with the SBA. That was kind of branched off because they do it better. Um, but just a lot of pieces and components to that. And that's like after that war, people had so much money saved up because they couldn't spend any money. Plus, they had the GI Bill, the VA
Mhm.
loan, as it is called today. And so, I encourage you, save as much. And yeah,
Yeah. There you go. David, thanks for the advice on the retro tax exemption, got
yeah.
exemptions for 20. There it is.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know what that is that if you own a property, let's say you got your disability rating today, you've owned the home for 4 years, but the disability rating is effective 2 years ago, you could go
Mhm.
back to the county and ask the county to give you a tax refund for the last 2 years.
Here in Florida, certain counties don't do that. Some do it, some don't, but it wouldn't hurt to ask. You still got it. You got to
Yeah,
ask. And if you go to that office, and this is anywhere in the country, and they say no, you need to ask two questions. One, let me speak to a supervisor, and two, can you show it to me in writing that you
right.
don't grant the retro? Because the person at the front desk, they could be, I don't know, jealous or something like that, or just not know. And then
Yep.
you be like, oh, okay. And then, they could be, depending on where you're at, 2 or 3 grand. Army girl, I don't know if you're in Calabasas next to Kim Kardashian, it could be, $15,000-$20,000 check, Betty, good evening, Dwayne. Yep, I definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Betty. This one is for you, Dave.
When is a great time for me as a new homeowner of less than a year to use a HELOC? So, what the folks that don't know what a HELOC is, it's a home equity line of credit. There's HELOCs and HE loans. HELOC is a variable rate, right? It's normally adjusts monthly with the Fed funds. Oh, actually, it's tied into something. So basically, it can change on a monthly basis. Basically, it's a 30-year mortgage. First 10 years are interest only. And after those 10 years, it reamortizes to a 20-year mortgage. And basically, I believe that it becomes a fixed rate at that time, but it is so dependent on the lending institution that you end up using. I think if you have a great rate on your first mortgage with, which a lot of people do. So no matter what type of loan you use, FHA, VA, conventional, you still can get a second mortgage. Normally it's offered by private banks because there's no VA second mortgage or FHA or conventional as of right now, but that may be changing for conventional loans. Um, what you have to weigh out is how much money you need. I think always having a HELOC there makes sense because if you have 100,000 in equity and you don't need 100,000, but they give you a line of credit that doesn't cost you anything, I think that makes sense, right? All day long. Even if you have to pay like an annual maintenance, you have $100. I think it makes sense.
Right.
But when you just bought a house less than a year ago, that can be a little bit tough because depending on what the loan to value is going to be, that's obviously going to affect your interest rate. And I don't know of too many lenders that can do 100% second home, unless
Oh,
the area just kind of like skyrocketed. But normally people own a property for a while before they get a HELOC.
okay. Thanks to both of you. Great information, educational resources. Yeah, I think Dave? We went 1 year anniversary was what, August?
Yeah,
Yeah, August. So yeah, we're
I still
still
can't
going
believe
strong.
it. I saw you on like LinkedIn and I'm like, I was doing research for my own stuff. And then I'm like, let me just hit this guy up. I was like, let me see if he's going to respond to me. And
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, I was like, who
That's
is this?
about,
What is he talking about?
well, this is why it's all about taking chances. And at least in life, right? It's like if it's you, what Wayne Gretzky said, or what was it? Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Clay, we went live, Civ Div, what was that, Tuesday,
Yeah.
day before yesterday. And I was like, how many people are in here? He was like, it's over 700. And I was like, what? and people just kept sending super stickers, and we were like, "No, stop!" It was like, "Stop, stop! We'll answer the question. Just stop. You don't have to $1.99 if it was just stop. We will get to the question." But we had so many super stickers, we didn't even get to the general questions. It was like, we'll answer those anyway.
I
But
know.
yeah, and we went 3.5 hours, which we got a hard stop, so another
Today we do.
35 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. New Life. I never heard of this New Life as um, added to VA records. What does this mean regarding claims? SCT. I never heard of that. Let me know where you saw that. I'm curious. All right, so we got 94 people. Chris says 64 people, 21 likes. Let's get these likes up, people. Valuable
Oh yeah.
info, free. Yes, free information. All right. Do Raiders have a duty to report, or do they have confidentiality when submitting claims? Not understand that question, Julius. Yeah. Get a little bit more specific for me. American Faction. Yep. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Very insightful. Thank you. Not a
What's up,
problem,
Nate?
Nate.
That's my boy right there.
Is Nate?
Yeah.
He in Chi-Town too?
Yeah. Well, he's
Okay.
just a little out of Chi-Town, but yes.
Oh, he's over on the west side, Madison.
That's
This
the
is the link
disaster
that you
relief
said.
thing.
Okay, good. Willpower says need a fourplex. I saw Lourdes has a
Yep.
fourplex. Did she? I saw the video that you all did in
Yeah.
person. In
I
person.
know. Yeah, I know. Because ironically, I've been doing a ton of in-person ones because she was like right down the street. I'm like, just come over, let's do it together. But yeah, that's one of the most powerful ways to leverage the VA loan is buying a 4-unit property because you're going to be living in one. It's designed for a primary residence, but you can rent out the other 3 units. And I was just talking with someone the other day, and when you think about how do you live for free, right? It's really 4 units. I mean, not for free. There's nothing free in life. You still have to make a mortgage payment. But if someone else is paying that mortgage payment in rent, then you benefit from that. Obviously, it takes a lot of prepping to do that. But a lot of times with 4 units, if you position yourself correctly, you can have 3 of the renters pay your mortgage payment.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool.
And tell Lourdes she could smile. She was too tensed up.
I mean, she might be watching.
All right. Willpower, yeah, you and Clay ran a marathon on it. Man, it felt like I was on there like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like 3.5 hours. I was like, and he asked me, he's like, do you have a hard stop? And I was like, no, I'm thinking we go another 30 minutes. And that was like another 2.5 hours. Another 2 hours. Yeah.
But even the 12-hour one we did, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. It wasn't, yeah.
I was surprised, but then it's like we do talk a lot.
Yeah. All right, Dito girl. IU. Be careful with that, Dito girl. IU says, is it good that they receive new evidence from Dito girl? It is so much more to IU. You should have had a conversation before. You said, I don't want them to suggest a reduction. Veterans, IU is not a standalone claim. It is a claim for increase for the service-connected conditions that you state on the VA Form 8940 prevent you from gainful employment. And then you have that whole 5-year percentage, 5-year, I don't want to call it a 5-year rule, but if that percentage has been in effect more or less than 5 years, there's so much other things that you need to know about IU before you file that claim. Trust me, I've done ratings where I CNC'd all those conditions, meaning confirmed and continue, kept them at the correct at their current percentage, and denied IU. And I've denied IU and did a proposal to reduce on some of those things. And the majority of them I did grant IU, or and then sometimes I denied IU and granted 100%. It is so much to go into that. Make sure you understand. Dave, I'll let you take this one. This your guy.
No, BNT. He knows what BNT is. Dear girl over there, she's like, it's permanent tone. Like, Nate knows.
So you tested
This
us.
one's for me. Can my brother, who's current reserve army, and me, United States Marine Corps, co-sign on a V loan? So yes, you can. It's what's called a joint home loan application. Now, this is the tricky part. If if he's in the reserves, he has to qualify for the VA loan currently, right? So just because you're in the reserve doesn't mean you can use the VA loan. There's stipulations you need to meet, like having at least 90 consecutive days on Title 10 orders from the time you started. That doesn't include training or ATs or like drill
Mm.
weekends, or you have to have 6 years of drill and weekends, right? Or if you're a prior service 24 months, then you can meet the criteria. So just gotta be careful with that. That's one. Two, typically you both have to have enough entitlement, and your ratings have, like, your rating, like, either one has a disability and the other one doesn't have a disability rating. Then I don't know how that would work, because it literally has to be like the same situation going into it. So that's definitely possible. And then you would split your benefits 50-50. But a lot of times the problem with that is that one person wants to leave. And now what? Like,
Mm.
that is the most common thing that happens. And I see this like almost all the time. But they're like, I want to leave. The other person's like, well, I want to keep the interest rate. Like, I don't want to let it go. And so what do you do? Uh,
Right.
you might be able to assume. Actually, now this just came to me for the first time in my life here, is you might be able to, because I'm like thinking to myself, like, man, if you have like another veteran on the
There's
loan,
the
how
first
do you
time
keep
in his life.
you like that for the first time in my life? I just thought of that right now. But yeah, you may be able to assume the other person's half,
Okay. Okay.
but that'd be interesting. Yeah.
This for you, Dave.
Really interested in the VA construction loan with option one to add the land and the house. Please help. So so I personally don't do them. We talk a lot about them because I have people that I refer them over to that do these, right? Because this is a somewhat complex process. In theory, it's pretty straightforward. If you qualify for the 100% financing for the construction and the land acquisition, you can get a loan to cover the whole thing. The challenge for most people is that uh, the time frame of doing it, if it's quick, you really already have to have already a ton of money spent on getting plans done, and then you really need to know the area to purchase it. And with these VA construction loans, you're doing it all in one shot. You're not buying land, holding it for 2 years, and then doing it. And Dwayne, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day because when I was doing an event with Lourdes, it's for like younger veterans. I think buying land is a great idea. And I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
As you go through life, and let's say you rent places, like I bought land and I don't pay too much a month on it, right? But by the time I can retire, guess what? That land's paid off. And I can use that land as equity to get a construction loan. So
Hmm.
I encourage, like, for if you there's plenty of land that's out there in decent areas that's not that expensive. I've seen land 15 to 20, $30,000. You get a 30-year mortgage on there, that's going to be nothing a month. But
Where,
you
where,
have something that you're paying. Huh?
where you see that land at? Where just
Well, I'm not saying like it's
example?
going to be like downtown Tampa, but it's going to be out in the country, more further out in the country. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot more people do that, actually. I
Hmm.
did it. I know I got a ton of friends that did it as well. So there's definitely some options to do that. Now, typically you go to like a local community bank or a farm and credit. That's like an actual company, farm and credit. And then they have them in each state, and depending on the size of the acreage, you can get I know you can get agricultural loans. You
Hmm.
don't have to like grow things on there, but there's some options around that. But the VA construction loan itself, right, is a phenomenal option. But again, that's going to include land acquisition and doing the construction, one time or two-time close loans. It just kind of depends on who you work with. But if you schedule a call with me, I can connect you with the right people.
All right. This is for you as well, Dave.
Hello, gentlemen. If I were to take over a VA loan subject to the existing mortgage and become an owner as a veteran, can I use the VA to refinance to the loan, even though the loan is not in my name? So that's another great question. If you assume, no, take over a VA loan subject to the existing mortgage and become the homeowner as a veteran. All right. The only time you'd be able to do it is if you did the substitution of entitlement. Basically, what that means is that when, let's say, Dwayne is selling his house and I want to buy it, and I said, Dwayne, I want to take over your interest rate. I'm going to put my benefits onto your property, and your benefits are going to be freed up to use. Now that loan is mine because it's in my name. So I can then do an interest rate reduction refinance loan, refinance, cash it out. Well, if I cash it out, then obviously I lose the rate, then I lose all the benefits. It goes now back to my benefits. So the same thing happens here. If Dwayne said, you know what, I'm going to leave my benefits here, you can lock me out. That just means that I bought it as a regular person from a veteran. Okay. In that case, you cannot do a refinance or an interest rate reduction refinance loan or an EARL. Otherwise, you would lose that benefit.
Okay, so Dave froze. Okay, you're back. You froze there for a
Okay.
second. Dave. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. VA. You said, David, it was just you go to the Google stores, just VA, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking that up
What is
right
it?
now to see what it actually comes up on. So
Okay.
you're gonna see. Let me see
I'm
if
gonna
it,
look at it on Google
just
stores.
type in va.gov, and it's gonna be. Let me see. Camera should.
Yep, right there. Yep, there it is. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like. It's actually got good ratings, unlike the government. Interesting.
Okay. This is for you, Dave.
Uh,
If you didn't serve 180 days, but you just mentioned that, didn't you? I think.
well, you know what? This one is a little bit different. So if you didn't serve 180 days, but service connected, the VA won't give you a home loan for National Guard members. If you didn't serve, so if you serve one day, like let's say you signed up for the National Guard, you went to basic training, day one, you get annihilated for whatever reason. Not annihilated, that's a negative word, but let's just say something happens to you and now you have to get service. You have to be medically discharged. You would have your benefits at that point. Now, what happens with National Guard members that let's say you don't do the full 6 years, but you do 4 years, and then you get out and you get a service connected disability after you've gotten out, then that's not going to let you use the VA home loan, right? The VA home loan is specific to time, or it's or time and service and character of discharge. And in this case, if you didn't meet the time requirement, you would be out for not being able to use the VA loan. But again, I encourage you not to disqualify yourself. Please reach out. I can at least, and even if the VA says this, like submit your certificate of eligibility anyways. Let's give them all the documents and let them make the final decision because things change all the time.
Oh yeah. Knowledge is power. Yes, Michelle, you are correct. My claim had a quality error. I just went to another CMP exam. How long will the quality error take to fix? No set time frame. No set time frame. Now, if it's a DTA error, and I got a video coming up on this, the quality error falls under the DTA error, then in the M21-1, it states they are supposed to expedite it, the VSR or the RVSR. Okay. So that depends.
But so like what do you mean like when they say quality of errors like the quality errors
So
like it just wasn't good?
yeah, they have a quality team QRT, and they I know when I rated they would pull 5 ratings that I did that month. I don't know what the number of pulls they do now, and they would check it. They would see, okay, did Dwayne uh, properly grant the benefit? Is the percentage correct? Is the effective date is correct? Well, if he granted, but he was supposed to deny, that would be a quality error. If the effective date is incorrect, that's
Gotcha.
a quality error. If the percentage is incorrect, that's a quality error. So raters are looking at all that stuff. And so that's why I say when people send in tons and tons and tons of evidence, those people in the quality team, they got time to sit there and go through it. You don't, so you could miss something, So that's why I tell veterans just always keep that in mind. Let's see. It's for you, Dave. My dad was
Yeah,
on
so
the
my dad was
reserve.
the Army Reserve and his service connected at 20. So with this again, it's going to depend on how long he was in the reserves and also if he has enough points. So that's just something easy if you guys you can go to va.gov and pull his own certificate of eligibility, or you can schedule a call with me in the description and I can take a look at it.
Okay.
It would literally be like a 1 minute phone call and I can get it.
So Bernard says, can you explain DIC versus SMCL? Um, DIC is not a SMC. SMCL is special monthly compensation for aid in attendance. DIC is a death benefit paid to the spouse. Okay. Let's see. This is you, Dave.
Credit question on my FICO, the website. Credit score question on my FICO. The website has a mortgage credit score, but I'm working but it increasing slowly. Please help. So, one couple of things to keep in mind when it comes to your credit score. So, one, a lot of times people will go to like Credit Karma or they'll have it on their credit card statements. And note that is normally Vantage score, which lenders do not use. We use FICO scores in order to determine that. And I would say the best free resource that exists is Experian.com, right, which is one of the major credit companies, one of the three. You can go in there, you can create an account, it'll monitor it for you, and that's typically going to have a better representation of what your mortgage credit score would be, or at least close to. But we've seen it swing so much, right? And most of the time, credit is a makeup of your financial past, right? Not what your financial future is going to be. So if you need some help and you want to go through it, schedule a call with me, and we'll be able to kind of go through exactly what we can do.
Okay. Yeah, Jeremy, we're all good here. I definitely appreciate it. Morel Streeter, hey, Dwayne started at 0% August 2023. Watched your videos and bought your book and just saw on my VA app yesterday that I am now 70%. Thank you for all your insight. That's what it's about right there, people.
I'm
Small
telling you.
investment, $29.99, and follow me for what, a year? Yeah, a little over a year, and at 70%, went from 0 to 70. That's huge. That is
That is
huge.
huge.
One thing I did that I found useful was scheduling my Vera phone appointment and has my claim been assigned to an RO with capacity? If the answer is yes, then at least it's on the national work queue. Look at Chris trying to use behind the scene VA claim language, national work queue. Well,
That's
that's
so
good
funny.
though that you know that stuff. So when you contact Vera, I'm going to do a video on that. Thus the name. I got a video on it, but not on that. And give some feedback on questions that you can ask because they talk about public contact. So, Chris, do you know what public contact office is? Yeah, yeah. Throwing the curveball. Can I claim both? It's not a no. You can't claim DIC, Bernard. Dave, when you talk to Bernard, tell Bernard leave DIC alone. DIC is when the veteran passes away. You're no longer living, Bernard. No, well, take that back. If your spouse was a veteran and your spouse passed away, I have a video. That's the name. I got a video on that explaining DIC. And I have a video explaining SMCs, SMCK, SMCS, and SMCL. Dave, make sure you tell Dave to
I'll
watch that
talk with
video.
him. But like from a lending side, right? We do have surviving spouses that receive that. Yeah, that is used as income. But yeah, if you're alive, you won't be able to get that. But like, yeah, you can use a special monthly compensation. And then surviving spouses can use DIC. And we'll see spouses not get married just so they can keep that
Keep it.
that
Yeah.
benefit. And it makes sense because sometimes it's a good amount of money.
Chris says, oh, 2.5. Yeah, I was intending to look that up today and I just got sidetracked. So we're going to get a 2.5% increase.
Why can't it be what the average inflation rate was for
I
this
know,
year?
right? Well, the way
That
they
would be
do
like
it,
30%.
right? The way
Just
they do
kidding.
it, they calculate it, I think, from the third quarter of last year.
It wasn't good
Um,
then either.
it would, I can't remember which. I did a video on that,
Okay.
explaining that calculation. But I think during COVID, it got like 8.7%. they had. I think, in when I look back at the previous 3 months, I don't think it really matched. But they had to do something because of a COVID. It was just it was ridiculous. I made a move from Chicago. Okay, Michelle, where were you at? South Side, Hyde Park, West Side, North Side, Evanston. Lincoln Park. Where were you at in Chicago? To I think this is for you, Dave.
Yeah.
I was
Well, I
just
mean, that's
teasing
a
about
cool part
Chicago.
about like a lot of times veterans now when they move or they want to go somewhere, they do everything virtual. It
Mhm.
is an insane tool because I mean, like, it's these days it's hard. I haven't really met too many people at closing. I think I met like somebody once like 2 months ago because I was like right in the area, but we work with people across the country. Now, if somebody's buying a house in Hawaii and they need me to be there, I mean, if it's a work expense, that's something we can negotiate.
Right.
So, but
Okay.
yeah, no, thank you, Michelle. Yes, I did help her do a refi up.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Is you, David.
Yep. So, David, can you explain if a veteran is 100% and they didn't do 180 days for National Guard, why won't they? So, the 180 days, I'm not sure where the 180 days is coming from. So if you are if you start in the National Guard and you serve for 6 years, you did a drill weekends, two one drill weekend a month and a 2 week AT every year, making you have enough points that you qualify for the VA loan, right? Then you're this is a qualification or eligibility piece for the VA loan, right? Being 100% permanent in total doesn't mean that you meet the character of discharge and the time requirements to use a VA home loan. The only time that it goes around that is if you get a medical discharge from the military. The 180 days thing, I'm not sure what that is referring to because it's 6 years of drilling, active drilling, being in IIR for the last 2 years. That does not count. You have to be actively drilling. Because I've also met some other folks that like started in the guard, then they took like a 4 year break, came back and finished it. It was actually like a basketball player that I was or I was helping with it. It was a kind of a unique situation because he was in the NBA, so it was kind of
Hmm.
interesting dynamic to it. But those things exist. But again, don't you can schedule a call with me and we can pull it up and I can help you through that process for sure.
All right. Cool. Dropping links in the comments. If you need a DBQ for mental health, reach out to Tampa Counseling and Wellness. Also, if you need a DBQ and or Nexus, reach out to Dr. Freeman, Access Medical Solutions.
That is cool.
Okay. Then I'm at 70%. What is the best way to raise my amount? My shoulder was repaired, has tear again. It needs to be overhauled. Any chance on reapplying? Okay. Um, I have a video where I say stuck at 90%, how to get to 100 if you feel you should be 100. Dylan, watch that video. Okay. First thing, intent to file 800-827-1000. Intent to file. You got 365 days to do a prescribed claim form. Also, might be a good idea to pick up the book, Dylan. It's that time. But also on my YouTube channel, I have videos, a series, step one, step two, step three, step four, and I think step five, part one, part two. Watch those videos. And if you're still confused, you can do a one-on-one with me or get the book. If you do those two first, I think you'll be squared away. Japan. All right.
Wow,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's the
always
furthest
Japan.
away.
Yeah. Let's see. This is for you, Dave.
How does the second mortgage work in conjunction with your original
It-
mortgage? So, can you hear me?
yeah, I was going to say if she worked with you, she should already know this.
Well, you know what? Well, the thing is that things always change, right?
Yeah.
And if you could talk, and it's relevant because a lot of times the VA will be like, you can't get a second mortgage with a VA loan unless it meets the same terms and like transferability as the first. This is where a lot of people get confused, Dwayne, is that only applies when you're doing a purchase and a concurrent second. I've
Mm,
never seen it done. Okay. But
okay.
if you own a property and you have a mortgage on there, when you get a second mortgage, All that happens is your first mortgage, you make your normal principal, interest, tax, insurance payment, and then
Mhm.
you just make a separate interest only payment if that's how your loan is structured to the second creditor. So that's the only
Mhm.
difference that happens, right? The second mortgage typically is not going to be collecting taxes, insurance. That's going to be your first mortgage, unless you're exempt from property taxes. But no one is
Okay.
ever exempt from insurance.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Well, Dave, right quick. PMI, private mortgage insurance. When are you
Yes.
are exempt from that?
Well, normally you have to do a 20% down payment.
Okay.
Now you can technically do what's called the LPMI, lender paid private mortgage insurance.
Mhm.
That's like where they build in the PMI into the rate. I really don't, you know, that's kind of iffy.
That's a
And
whole
private
nother
mortgage
video.
insurance on conventional loans depend. It's based on your credit score. So
Oh, okay. Okay. Dwayne, part one. I was a veteran that left a comment about a week and a half ago concerning step five being the longest step. It would be nice if someone, you know, I'll go back and look at those steps, but I don't want people to get bogged down on those steps because if, step five for you could be a week, for somebody else, it could be 2 months. It just depends on what those VA employees are doing behind the scenes. Okay. I would prefer people to focus on the 38 CFR, the M21-1, what you're doing with your claim, what did you claim, how did you claim it, what type of evidence that you have. That's all you can do. You cannot control those steps that you're in. It's you, Dave.
was the best route for a veteran to get a loan for repairs on our rental property. I need about 50 grand. That makes both of us. I got to do some renovations. All right. So if you own a property, a HELOC is a great option. If because that way you can just pull that money. If you need the money for a short term, right? Different routes you can go. Sometimes you can get a personal loan. I've seen people get credit 0% interest credit cards. They're like 21 month zero interest credit cards, and then they could do the repairs. They sell the house. They make their money back. It's paid off. It's all good to go.
Yeah.
But you definitely need to have a strategy for that. I'd say the easiest thing is just hit me up, schedule a call with me, and I'll walk you
Yeah.
through it. Because like
I,
I just need to know your financial, like what you are specifically trying to do.
right. And I know there's some, I can't think of the name of this credit card. Starts with an S. Synergy, Center, something.
I'm not sure.
But I got it with my hurricane windows. And they were like, yeah, we'll do, I think it was 18 months, 24 months, 0%, same as
Yeah.
cash. And I just, now with that, I was dropping a large amount every month. I figured out, okay, for me to pay this thing off a month before, I think it was 24 months and 23 months, and I divided it. And that's what I was paying every month. When I get my tax return, I throw, some more at it because you don't want to get caught because those interest rates are what, like 30%, close to
Well,
30%.
yeah, they can be. And so that's the
Yeah.
problem. It's like I think a lot of times people have this idea that, oh, I'm gonna pay things off. I'm only make the minimum payments. And guess what? Now
Nah.
you
Yeah.
because your financial picture drastically changes. So whatever you
Mhm.
hopefully you've budgeted for, now it's gonna change. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Again, logic. I'm gonna look at that step five again. The video I did, I'll go to the website and look at that. But I don't want people to get caught up on that. Dito girl, it's time for us to have a conversation. You are scaring me about that IU. I wish we'd had a conversation before that. People, you have to know what you are doing when it comes to um, IU. Trust me, I've rated a lot of those claims, and veterans get themselves in big trouble. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason for this is because the VA website clearly states that step three is the longest part. But, you know, I think the VA has done an awesome job updating their website, but they had to do that because Congress made them do it. And it's to appease veterans. And I think it's confusing veterans. Okay. Again, you could be in this step, you could be at step 8. Again, if their rater says, oh, we're missing something, you can go back to another step. And you can be like, well, what
Yeah.
happened? You're not gonna know. You know, you sitting there scratching your head. And I don't know. If you have a VSO, you can contact them. They can go and VBM if they know what they're doing and if they
Yeah.
know what they're looking for. A lot of VSOs out there, I think there's a lot of good ones out there and there's a lot of bad ones out there. Okay. And a lot of I've been hearing from a lot of veterans saying they can't get them on the phone. Okay. Can't get them on the phone.
Ooh,
Veterans, that people that represent veterans
PSO?
like VSOs, veteran service organizations,
Oh, yeah, yeah. They
and
can. Yeah.
lawyers. Yeah. And a lot of people, and Clay and I talked about this. And I told Clay, I'm like, I've seen attorneys and VSOs file claims, increase claims for tinnitus. And the vet is already 10%. That's all you're gonna get. And these people are accredited. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Okay.
It makes no sense. So when people say go get someone that's accredited, it does not always mean they know what they're doing. Make
Oh, yeah.
sure you ask questions. That's it. Work with whomever you want to work with, but make sure you ask questions. Okay.
100%.
Bilateral lower extremities, when rated, is each leg, ankle, and foot is separate. Yes. So the lower bilateral, well, wait a minute. Bilateral lower extremities, when rated, is it each leg? Yes. Left ankle, right ankle. And then if there's like flat feet, yeah, they could be all different. Okay. It's TS exposure, but it states SEC. Yeah. So when you say problem list, you're not going to see a problem list under VBA. I think what you're talking about could be VHA. Okay. That's on the healthcare side. That's where you see a problem list. Okay. I'm just trying to get through some of these. Dave, let's see. Will vets get reduced if they do not go to the doctor after? No. There's YouTube clickbait. As a raider, I never was told, hey, go look at David Piatek or this particular
Oh,
veterans. And oh, he's not, he or she's not getting treatment. Oh, no, it didn't work that way. A lot of times when veterans get reduced, and I've done those reductions, I didn't like doing them, but by law, if it came across my desk and the vet, a lot of times when I did a reduction outside of cancer, because those are only permanent if they are terminal. Majority of the reductions I did, the veteran did not know what they were doing.
wow.
And that's not a bad thing. And that's why I have all these videos where I'm giving you the blueprint as a former raider so you don't fall into that category. Like Dito girl, she did IU, never just called me and said, Dwayne, look, I'm not understanding this IU. Do you got 15 minutes to take me to school? And she filed a claim. And the comments that she left tonight made me nervous. I'm like, you just have to know. And we're on here a lot. I did this is my third live stream this month, and we're in the second week of October.
A lot
You
of
know,
nuggets, Dwayne. A
and
lot
it's
of nuggets.
free. And they're free. I think this if we want to count the one we did last month, this is the fourth one in less than 3 weeks or a month, at least a month. Trying to get through these. We got a couple minutes left, people. 90 supplemental
Yep.
claim. If you're already service connected, it is an increase. Yeah. I see Vegas and Dylan, they're going back and forth.
Yeah, I
He's
see
giving
the
me some
answer and stuff.
information.
Help
Yeah.
a
So I'm
brother
just
out.
trying to, yeah. If you're 100%, and that's the thing, Vegas guy, he's been on here a while. So I'm looking at what he's saying. I'm like, okay. But he didn't say contact your VSO. He didn't say, hey, make sure you ask questions when you contact that VSO. Make sure you get the right one. Make sure
Yeah.
you just ask some questions. If you're
And
100%
these people are
PNT,
salesmen.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You're good because your condition should be rated static. Just don't open anymore. I've seen veterans open up claims, Zoe. I've seen veterans and win. And I have a video on poking the bear. If you decide to do it, know what you are doing. That's it. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have confidence and you talk to a certain VSO or lawyer and you don't have confidence in them, then yeah, so leave it alone. But I've seen veterans do it, but they knew what they were doing. I've seen some that did it and didn't know what they were doing, and they got lucky. But again, just know what you're doing. Here you go, Dave. This you.
Technically, no max. But if you have too much land and then it's outweighs the house, then you're gonna run into a problem.
Yeah. It's you, Dave.
Can you rent out your first home and apply for a second mortgage with your remaining? Yes, you can. So it's actually a pretty cool way to do it. You can have unlimited VA home loans. You can like buy a place, one place with no money down, buy a second place with no money down, buy a third place with no money down. But now it's going to be based on what the max Fannie Mae single family county loan limit is for that given area. And if you don't have a VA home loan outstanding, then there's technically no max. You want to buy a $5 million place, you can do it with no money down. But you have
Okay.
to be eligible and qualified.
We're gonna take 3 more questions. We're over an hour. This is a speed
Okay.
round. Hey, what's up, guys? KMD, I need a one-on-one. Let me know. Go to my website and register. I have weekly webinars where I go live and I explain exactly what I do and exactly what I do not do. People look at the name VA Claims Consulting and they think I do what other consulting companies do. And that's not correct. So just sign up for that webinar so you understand exactly what I do, but most importantly, what we do not do. These next two are for you, Dave. Go ahead.
Looking to buy a home under market value that needs work. How often, in your opinion, does lenders approve VA rehab loans? All the time. That is like a normal thing you can do. You just have to work with a lender that specializes in renovation loans because they can be a cluster.
Okay. Here's the next one, Dave.
So what happens was they put on D214 failure to meet medical procurement. The veteran didn't file under 21 years later. They are 100%, but because of the discharge, the VA said no. Yeah, which I would have to take a look at that and like reach out to the VA itself, to the regional loan center, and have them walk me through what their decision was. But again, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
I'm happy to
Dave,
call them because they're pretty responsive.
Dave, I'm gonna answer some questions for some people with some super stickers. I know you have to go. If you want to go
I
ahead
do,
and
yeah.
log
My
out.
kids and
Yeah.
wife are sick, so
Yeah.
I
So
I hear him
everybody
screaming up
give
there.
Dave a round of applause. Thank him for showing up. His wife
Thank you,
is sick,
guys.
so he has to go. I'm gonna stick around and answer these 3 questions about from the super stickers. Okay. All right,
All
Dave,
right.
take
Talk
care.
to you soon, man.
All right. Okay, so M27 dash one, part one, chapter 4, public contact. Wouldn't have known how to search this without. Yes, Chris, you are right. That public contact. Yeah, there you go. What Chris is talking about, I think I did a free training, Chris. I can't remember when, but I know I did a block of instructions for my veterans in my membership group of how to search the M21-1. Okay, it's very important. It's super easy. You just got to spend the time to do it. Okay. So we're gonna get through some of these. Griff, thank you for the support. Definitely appreciate it. I think you were on with Clay and I the other night. Dwayne, I was only live, a few days ago about the BDD. Yep, I remember. I have 47 days left on active duty. Well, I uploaded my DD to 14 yesterday, and now 24 hours I've been assigned White River jurisdiction. Is it with a regular Whitewater jurisdiction? I think that's a regional office, but I can't remember where it's at. White River. Man, I cannot remember. If you go to Griff, go to va.gov and just type in White River, and it should come up and tell you which state that it's in. Okay. Brandon, thank you for the support. Definitely appreciate it. How should we bring up DBQ to an examiner who isn't using one at exam? Does a VBA quick search keywords in your VA records to match claim items? Kind of confused on that, but you can go to va.gov and they have a link with all of the DBQs. You get your DBQ for the, well, first, let me back up. When you get called in for an exam, you can call 800-827-1000. And what you're going to ask them is say, hey, look in VBMS, and tell me which exams have I been scheduled for on the 2507 medical request. Don't worry about it, Brandon. Go to my channel. I have a video on 2507 medical requests. Okay. And then that way you can go to va.gov. If they say, oh, you got one for the thoracolumbar, you can go and pull that DBQ down. If it's migraines, you can pull that DBQ down and see what the questions are. And why that is important is because when you get to that CMP exam, if those doctors don't ask you certain questions, you can highlight where you think you fall percentage wise for the diagnostic code criteria, and you can figure it out. If you need more, Brandon, make sure you sign up for a private Q&A, and I can walk you through that process and explain exactly what that is. Okay. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and close it out, everyone. We are over the hour mark. I'm thinking about, I know Clay and I, we talked about doing a monthly Q&A. David and I, we've been doing these monthly Q&As for over a year. I do my own Q&A. I'm thinking about adding a second one. Okay. So definitely be on the lookout for that. You can ask questions if you need a private Q&A, get a little bit more detailed answers to your questions. Feel free to reach out to me, info@kmd89.com, and we can get you set up for that. Make sure, people, when we go live, we normally go 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think a couple days ago, Clay and I, we went, I think, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get in early. We may move those back an hour, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but always be on the lookout. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button. And as always, share these free nugget videos with your fellow veterans. Take care. If I can find the end stream, there we go.